Humans were legends. Until their fleet appeared on the horizon. The sky burned with the light of a dying world. From the bridge of the Zelnari Command Dreadnought, High Strategist Valrek watched in silence as the last planetary defenses of Morvith Prime crumbled under the relentless assault of the Dominion. Cities that had stood for millennia now lay in ruins, entire continents were ablaze, and the once proud Morvathian defenders had been reduced to scattered pockets of resistance, awaiting the inevitable. It was yet another conquest for the Dominion's ever-expanding empire. Yet Valrek felt no satisfaction. Something was wrong. The Morvathians had sent no distress signals. No pleas for aid. No attempts to surrender. Their warriors had fought to the last, not out of desperation, but out of some unwavering certainty. As if they believed salvation was coming. Valrek snarled. Foolishness. No one was coming for them. The Dominion had already crushed every major empire in this sector. There were no allies left, no hidden fleets waiting beyond the void. And yet, his claws tightened on the railing, he couldn't shake the unease curling in his gut. A quiet chime cut through the silence. The tactical officer turned, mandibles twitching. High Strategist, he said, his voice unsteady. New contacts emerging from subspace. Valrek's eyes narrowed. More Dominion reinforcements? The officer hesitated. No, Strategist. They are unidentified. For a fraction of a second, silence ruled the bridge. Then, put it on the main display. The holoscreen flickered to life, revealing the vast emptiness of space beyond the planet's atmosphere. And then, one by one they appeared. Ships. But not Dominion ships. Not any known warships in the galaxy. Sleek, angular behemoths of black and gunmetal, their hulls shimmering like liquid void. They moved in absolute silence, formations tight, precise, unervingly disciplined. And worst of all, there were hundreds of them. A cold dread slithered into Valrek's chest. This was impossible. There was no known fleet of this size operating in the void. No empire had survived the Dominion's conquests. But then, as the holofeed focused, as the Dominion scanners attempted to identify the incoming ships, a name, one spoken only in myths and whispered nightmares, flashed across the data stream. Terran. Valrek's heart stopped. It wasn't possible. The humans were extinct. They had been gone for over 1,000 years. And yet here they were. The bridge fell into stunned silence. No one spoke. No one breathed. Then a transmission cut through every Dominion frequency. A single voice, deep and calm, filled the command deck. To the forces of the Dominion, you have taken much. You have burned worlds, enslaved billions, and claimed dominion over the void. Now you face the reckoning. The Terran Imperium has returned. Surrender or be erased. For the first time in his long and brutal career, High Strategist Valrek felt something he had never known before. Terror. And then the first human warship fired. The first shot was not a warning. A blinding lance of energy erupted from the lead Terran warship, carving through the void with terrifying precision. It speared through the Dominion battleship Vralik as if its shields were nothing more than mist. The ship didn't explode immediately. For one agonizing moment, its entire superstructure burned white-hot, its hull liquefying as cascading energy surged through its core. Then, in a silent burst of fire and debris, it came apart, shattered into fragments that spiraled into the darkness. Valrek's mandibles clicked violently, his mind racing. This was wrong. Nothing, not even Dominion dreadnoughts, possessed weaponry that could one-shot a fully shielded warship from that range. And yet, the humans had just done exactly that. All Dominion vessels returned fire. Valrek snarled, slamming his clawed fist onto the command interface. A storm of plasma and hyperkinetic rail slugs tore through the void, aimed at the advancing Terran fleet. Dominion tactics were built on overwhelming firepower, on breaking the will of their enemies with sheer relentless destruction. No species had ever withstood the full might of a Dominion armada. But the Terrans were not any species. Even as thousands of rounds hurtled toward their formations, the human fleet moved with eerie coordination. Not a single shot landed. Their ships shimmered, vanishing from their current positions in bursts of gravitational distortion, reappearing in new formations before the Dominion weapons could even reach them. It was beyond anything the strategist had ever seen. "They're using slipspace phase shifting," one of his officers gasped. "But that's impossible at this scale. No fleet can." The second Terran volley silenced him. 3 more Dominion ships died instantly, their armor folding as energy weapons of unimaginable power carved through them with contemptuous ease. Valrek gripped the railing, his mind spiraling. He had studied human warfare extensively. What little data remained after their disappearance. They were dangerous, yes. Unpredictable, aggressive. But this wasn't warfare. This was extermination. High strategist, the communications officer rasped, her voice barely above a whisper. The fleet, they're broadcasting something. Valrek turned sharply. Patch it through. The main display flickered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with an image of a man. No, a human, standing at the command of the lead Terran warship. His face was grim, scarred by time, his eyes dark voids of absolute purpose. He wore no elaborate insignia, no decadent regalia. Just a simple uniform, midnight black. Your empire is over. The words sent a shudder through the Dominion officers. You should not be here, Valrek hissed, his claws tightening. Humanity is dead. The man's lips curled into the faintest, most humorless of smiles. You should have made sure of that. The transmission cut. And then hell followed. The Terran fleet surged forward, moving with terrifying, methodical precision. Their warships weaved between Dominion formations, striking with weapons so advanced, so impossibly devastating, that Valrek's forces had no time to react. Dominion vessels exploded in droves. Battleships, cruisers, dreadnoughts, each one fell as the humans carved a path straight through the heart of the Dominion's greatest armada. It wasn't just superior technology. It was something else. It was retribution. Valrek felt something crack inside him as he realized the truth. The humans had not simply returned. They had come to end the Dominion, and there was nothing he could do to stop them. Valrek watched in horror as the Dominion fleet, an armada that had ruled the stars for centuries, was being systematically dismantled. The Terran ships moved with a lethal grace that defied conventional tactics. Where Dominion war doctrine relied on overwhelming numbers and brute force, the humans fought with surgical precision. Each ship moving like a predator, never wasting a single shot. High strategist, one of his bridge officers choked out, his voice filled with uncharacteristic fear. We can't win this. Valrek knew it was true. And yet, surrender was not an option. Order all remaining vessels to regroup around the dreadnought Veil Crease, he commanded, forcing steel into his voice. We make our stand here. Even as he spoke, another explosion rocked the view screen. A Dominion cruiser, the Heractel, tried to pull away from the battle line. A split second later, a Terran warship phase shifted directly in front of it, impossibly close, before unleashing a devastating broadside at point-blank range. The Heractel never had a chance. The first salvo ripped through its shields like wet parchment, the second tore open its hull like a gutted animal. Valrek's mandibles tightened. The humans weren't just fighting to win. They were fighting to erase the Dominion from existence. The bridge of the Terran flagship ISS Revenant was eerily calm. Fleet Marshal Gabriel Stroud stood at the center, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the Dominion's last desperate attempt to rally. Around him, his officers worked with a quiet efficiency that belied the sheer violence unfolding outside. His second-in-command, Commander Helena Vasquez, glanced up from her tactical console. Their flagship is reinforcing its position. They're making a last stand. Stroud nodded, his expression unreadable. Then we'll grant them their final wish. He turned to the weapons officer. Deploy the Valkyries. A hush fell over the bridge. Then, without hesitation, the officer keyed in the command. Across the Terran fleet, hatches along the warship's hull slid open, revealing sleek, black-armored strike craft. They were unlike any fighters the galaxy had seen before, small, impossibly fast, and piloted by some of the most dangerous warriors humanity had ever produced. The Valkyries. They weren't just pilots. They were executioners. And as they launched from the fleet, hell descended upon the Dominion. Valrek barely had time to react before the first wave hit. The Valkyrie strike craft moved like wraiths, weaving through Dominion defenses with terrifying ease. They didn't engage in dogfights. They didn't waste time with drawn-out skirmishes. They simply slaughtered. One by one Dominion ships fell, carved apart from within as the Valkyries breached their hulls, boarding the vessels in coordinated strikes. Valrek's tactical display flickered with panicked distress signals as entire warships went dark without a single external shot. His claws clenched around the railing. "Where are our reinforcements?" he roared. A bridge officer turned to him, his crest flattened in terror. We sent a distress call to the core worlds, but..." He hesitated. Valrek's eyes narrowed. "But what?" The officer swallowed hard. "No response, strategist." A chill unlike any other crawled through Valrek's exoskeleton. For the first time he dared to wonder. Had the Terrans already reached the core worlds? His blood ran cold. The Dominion had believed humanity was a legend, a ghost, a thing of the past. But now, staring at the destruction unfolding before him, he realized the terrifying truth. The legend had returned. And it would not stop until the Dominion itself was nothing more than a memory. Valrek's mandibles quivered as he gripped the command console. His mind reeled, grasping for a strategy, any strategy, to stop the unstoppable. The Dominion had ruled the stars for over 500 years. And in a single day the humans had shattered it. The Valkyrie's remaining escort ships were nothing but debris now, and the bridge was filled with the scent of burning circuitry. His officers frantically relayed reports of hull breaches, systems failures, and mass desertions from surviving Dominion ships. But it was already too late. A shadow fell over the Valkyries. A massive Terran warship, eclipsing the viewports, drifted into position. The ISS Revenant loomed like a specter of vengeance. Valrek's breathing became shallow. The humans weren't here for victory. They were here for vengeance. A transmission came through. The Dominion's security protocols barely had time to register it before the human admiral's voice echoed through the bridge. High Strategist Valrek. Valrek's claws twitched. He had never heard the voice of a Terran before, and he had imagined something raw, something primal. Instead it was calm, steady, unshaken. This is Fleet Marshal Gabriel Stroud of the Terran Ascendancy. Your empire is finished. Surrender now. Valrek's mandibles clicked. He took a shuddering breath, trying to push down the storm raging within him. He was a high strategist of the Dominion. He would not kneel. Human, he spat, voice trembling with rage. You think this will end with my surrender? The Dominion spans over 200 star systems. Our fleets will. They're already gone. Stroud's words struck Valrek like a physical blow. No, he snarled. Impossible. You sent a distress call, Stroud said. You were expecting reinforcements. Valrek didn't answer. Stroud continued. No one came because there's no one left to come. The Dominion High Strategist felt his entire body go numb. No one left. It wasn't possible. It couldn't be possible. And yet, deep down he already knew the truth. Humanity had not just returned to the stars. They had returned everywhere at once. The Terran fleet had struck not just at the front lines, but at the very heart of the Dominion. Core worlds, supply chains, command structures, all of it was already gone. The Valkyries was not the last line of defense. It was a relic floating in the void. Alone. Valrek's knees buckled. His officers were staring at him, some shaking, others backing away in silent horror. And then, a second transmission cut through the silence. ISS Revenant to all Dominion vessels. Your empire has fallen. Lay down your arms and you will be treated with mercy. There was a long pause. And then, across what remained of the fleet, ships began powering down their weapons. One by one, Dominion vessels went dark. Valrek's claws trembled. He could feel the weight of centuries pressing down on him. The weight of history. This was the end. The end of the Dominion. The end of his people's rule. And the beginning of the age of humanity. His voice came out as a whisper. I surrender. The transmission cut out. The battle was over. And humanity had reclaimed the stars. Epilogue. On the bridge of the ISS Revenant, Fleet Marshal Gabriel Stroud watched as the last Dominion warship fell silent. The galaxy had feared the return of humanity. Now they would learn to live with it. Vasquez turned to him. What are your orders, sir? Stroud exhaled slowly. Set course for the next system. A grim smile touched his lips. We have a galaxy to rebuild. The end.